You know that moment when you are mid-sentence and all of a sudden you think, this is not landing. Maybe the energy in the room shifted, or maybe your audience looks confused or checked out. Maybe you're halfway through a story and thinking, Why am I even telling this?" I know it's humbling. It happens to all of us. But here is the secret: great communicators don't avoid these moments, they adapt to them, they shift. They listen while speaking, and then they choose stories that serve. In this session, I'm going to give you 3 tools to become that kind of speaker, the kind who can pivot, adjust, and still come across as clear, grounded, and magnetic. I'm Lisa LaCroix, your communication muse, here to help creative leaders, professionals, and real humans like you speak with more confidence, more clarity, and more connection. This is part of my magnetic speaking skills series where I give practical and powerful tools to elevate how you express yourself in meetings, on camera, and in the moments that matter most. Today, we are talking about adaptability. What do you do when your message isn't quite landing? How do you shift gears? Not by pushing harder, but by listening more deeply. And how can you use storytelling as a tool for influence? Let's get into these 3 game-changing tools that will help you speak with more resonance, more presence, and real-time impact. The first tool is the if then framework. Most people go into a speaking situation with one delivery setting, prepared. But real life communicators don't work like that, because when you're speaking, it's unpredictable. Things can happen. Your audience might be distracted. They might be skeptical and asking you to prove yourself to them, or they could be more excited than you were expecting. So the if then framework is like a mental switchboard. If the audience is cold, then warm them up with a short personal story or a question to get their minds engaged. And if you notice they're zoning out, then shift the energy or pacing to wake things up. But if the vibe is high and playful, then don't stay stuck in a teaching moment. Rather, join them there in that energy. The important thing is to be aware enough to pivot. And this builds directly on what we've explored in earlier sessions, like listening in a way that your audience can't help but bloom in your presence, dynamic pacing, how you parse and pause your message, and energetic presence. Now, it doesn't mean changing anything about who you are. It means being attuned to your audience so you can adjust and adapt and then deliver in a way that who you really are, your authentic self, can be deeply received. This is the difference between a good communicator and a magnetic one. Tool number 2, the spark, the shift, and the share. This is storytelling for real life communication. This is not the long-winded kind of story. It's not a big drama. When done right, storytelling is one of the fastest ways to build trust, to illustrate a point, and to shift the energy. But the key is purposeful and brief. So this framework, the spark, the shift, and the share, is about, first, what's happening in the moment? What is the circumstance? What's the scene that you're setting? Maybe there's a moment of tension or insight or an emotional charge. And then the shift is, what happened? What did you learn? What did you realize? What did you decide? What changed? And then finally, the share is the message of the story. What's in it for the audience? This is where you bring it home. You connect it to the present moment, to the change, and then offer a takeaway. So here's a simple example. I once had a client who was terrified of speaking. She would freeze up just thinking about introducing herself. What shifted? She realized that it wasn't about getting the words right. It was about being real. And now she speaks on panels without notes. So if you are watching this and you feel nervous, then know this: the moment you stop performing and start connecting, everything changes. So that's it. That's the full story. Notice that it's short, it's pointed, and it uses these 3 points. It ends with an insight that includes the listener. So we tell the circumstance, we say what happened, and we make it relevant to the audience. And this is how using the circumstance or the spark, what changed, the shift, and what's in it for the audience, the share, have even brief stories serve your message. Tool number 3 is energy matching and leading. Now, this is where things get juicy and it's a little subtle, but it's powerful. Your job isn't always to pump up the energy. It's to feel where your audience is and then choose how to meet or move them. So if they're tired, you might start soft and then slowly build the energy and take them along with you. But if they're scattered and not paying attention, you might need to build stillness in order to capture them and draw them in. And if they're very serious, don't start with a joke. Rather, connect with them first, and then you can begin to open them up. And we practiced some of this in earlier sessions with techniques like using mirror neurons to impact people and listening in a way that creates connection and rapport. So this is about what happens internally before you speak, and the key is attunement. Energy matching and energy leading is like a dynamic dance. It's about respecting the moment, and it's about being the kind of speaker who responds rather than reacts. And that's what makes you magnetic. It's not volume, it's not polish, it's the ability to feel where people are, to connect with them, and to speak to that moment. So when you want to be magnetic in an unpredictable real world situation, use the if then framework to adjust in real time and stay connected to your audience. Use the spark, shift, and share storytelling arc to share meaningful stories that land and serve your audience. And then practice energy matching and leading, tuning in before you speak, and then connecting in the actual moment to your audience, not some rehearsed idea of what you are going to say and how you are going to be. You don't need to control everything. And in fact, you can't control everything when you're adapting to the moment. It's one of the things that people find the scariest. But if you use these 3 tools, you will find it so much easier to connect. You just need to listen and respond. Trust yourself to bring presence, intention, and in clarity. And when you do that, your voice becomes a bridge to the other. So I'll see you in the next session. In the meantime, if you want to watch another video, there's one here, and my playlist is here. I'll see you next time.